Okay, so now we have the rear passenger side, and of course there's about a million things wrong with it, but in order to get it right, we've got to fix it all. So first, let's start with the door jamb. This does not line up in any way, even pushing hard on it. So I've made this black line here, you can see. I'm going to cut it there, and the joint panel will be this little strip right here. That will be where we put the rivets, the glue, a little bit of glassing to get it flush. That we cut out this whole tab here that doesn't even come close. And also there's a weather trim, that rubber trim that comes up around here. With this out of the way, I'm not happy with the way this is kind of molded in, so the amount of work to correct it is the same amount of work that it would be to shave it. Obviously this here does not come out anywhere near fitting against here. I mean, yeah, I could screw it down, force it into shape, but there'll be constant pressure on here. You have to force that to fit, and you know that's going to be a problem later down the road. Another thing about this kit, it is very soft, very, very flexible. Imagine this permanently bonded and this constantly flexes with the heat and all. Put about 2-3 layers of 1.5 ounce glass and it will really stiffen it up. So I've made this black line. This is going to be my cut line here. As you can see with the trunk, let's see if we can get this angle. You can see how high this rear panel sits. We cut something like this kind of angle, so the OEM body line will flow with the trunk. When I was doing the capping, you notice I've left a few tabs on the bottom, about 10 inches up from the bottom of the well. That's where it will connect down here. You see these little tabs, kept that. You can actually rivet it in there. The panel will actually kind of kick out like that and then bonded to this tab. This is a very strong tab. 2 layers of 16 gauge steel, a series of spot welds, great substrate to anchor this down. Cutting off all that excess glass just makes it sink in and fit so much better. You see now we have a near flush fitment with only one screw here, one down here at the rocker. Fit on the door is so much nicer. What I'll end up doing is glassing an extra lip that'll come up probably about a ½ inch off of this here, and then kind of blend that edge down. Of course, that will get beveled down, rivets, glue, so on. Come up around this way here. Again, this edge. Now it's going to be on the body, so no play here. Obviously, it's still soft. We need to reinforce that. This here will get glassed, a few layers of glass. Again, this piece here, near flush fitment. Cut the gas cap, get that ready for glassing in. I'll probably glass that in tonight, so it'll sit over. And of course the door jamb, this is the most important because we'll be seeing and interacting with this every time we drive it, right? As mentioned, there's a rubber thing that comes right here. There's still a gap in this, but this is where the glue and rivets will come into play. This will eventually get bridged over, molded in, just like how the Supra was. The door edge had to be completely cut out, glassed into place, and that will create our glue contact. Here we go. We have 2 layers of 1.5 ounce fiberglass mat coating the inside of this fender. Very rigid. Does add a little bit of weight, but I'd rather take the weight for rigidity than lower weight and floppy skin. So here we are. So now we have a layer of tape in a key area where we're going to build up a little flange. Remember the flange that we're going to add to this rear fender? It's just to add more gluing surface, more contact surface. That flange is going to come up right here, and then we're going to build up this side here just to make it more flush with the body. Now if you're noticing something different here, this used to be an antenna right here. Of course that had been welded and shaved off while we were doing the fender wells. The glass does not stick to the tape. Once this is glassed and cured, it can actually lift off. While that is curing, I'm going to go to the front edge. Now since this door edge did fit really well, I'm actually going to use that U-pole fibro light. It does really well, and it's actually pretty good. It almost kind of replaces minced or chopped fiberglass mixed in resin. It's that good. So I'm going to fill in the seam that goes in here with it, and that will be even a more flush fit. And here's what we have. So the fender has been cut up, all the excess has been cut off and fitting tighter to the car, with the addition a little bit of fiberglass lip. Again, these are like extensions just to get this to really wrap around on the body. The original flanges just did not match up perfectly, and I cut them off, put a new glass, and bonded it down. And as you can see, I screwed the fender down to the car. Sometimes you got to create a bracket here. This was lifting up a little bit, so this little piece of sheet metal kind of spread the pressure. This is fine. The door jamb, again, I used U-pole fibro light to extend that little gap and fill it in. This U-pole is extremely hard, and it bonds to fiberglass really well. Well enough to where I feel confident to rivet the edge of this glass down and glue, in the end, glue this down to where it will bond. The seam will be right here in this little crevice. This will kind of get trimmed up a little bit more body work done to it, and once it gets glued down, it will be flush, and you won't even see the seam. It will hide in this little corner. This one is much further ahead, done slightly differently. This here did have a lot of work to it. I wanted to do the hard one first, just so I know what's coming up on it. This here has been completely remade. I'll in turn put more glass filler in here to kind of do exactly what the other side does, and kind of hide that joint. This is what's involved in just fitting the panel on, getting it perfect, getting the gaps closed up, getting the right support, building little things like this, clearing out the tail light. This is a whole new thing here that's just gonna get heated up, screwed down, and that will shape into place. There's nothing much to that. This here will just get glued in. There's a little bit of excess that'll get shaved off, but overall very happy with this end of it. Now we just got to get these little flares down here, the rocker flares, to match up. As you can see, this is sticking out, but if I just, but you know, what's the correct position, you know? So I gotta, that's something to keep in mind, is to measure out each end, make sure they're all symmetrical, make sure, because again, if I put a size tire, you know, the matching wheels on the rear, well, one side pokes out, well, it won't line up on both sides, won't be symmetrical. So that's just as important as filling all the gaps in here. So more to come, just to fit this on. We haven't even got down to shaping it or smoothing it out. There's so many imperfections. I've already found a bunch of gel coat bubbles that need to be tended to. So lots to go.